The link between divorce and suicide has been known since the pioneering sociological studies of Emile Durkheim. In the United States, the rate of suicide among persons who are divorced or separated is usually reported as about 2.4 times greater than the suicide rate for married persons. A successful marriage, it seems, can be a protective factor against death by suicide. Conversely, separation and divorce seems to raise suicide risk. Kpasawa, 2003, made an extremely important point about the married versus divorced suicide divide. Dr. Kpasawa noted that there were huge differences between the suicide rates among divorced men, as compared to divorced women. In fact, the data showed that, compared to divorced women, divorced men were 9 times more likely to die by suicide. Put another way, for every 1 divorced woman who dies by suicide, there are 9 divorced men who do so. This 9-to-1 ratio dwarfs the 3.5-to-1 male advantage we typically see in suicide deaths. In 2017, for example, 36,782 American men died by suicide, versus 10,391 American women. Clearly, the disparity in deaths among divorced males is not simply the result of men being generally more suicidal than women. Therefore, something more than the typical explanations for the male-female imbalance in suicide death, e.g., men choose more lethal means, men are more likely to abuse substances, men are more aggressive, etc., is at work. Dr. Kpasawa, a sociologist at University of California, Riverside, suggested that society has undervalued the strength of paternal-child bonds, and thus underestimated the traumatic effect of severing those bonds through our typical custody arrangements. Further, we fail to appreciate the catastrophic financial impact of divorce on men, and the anger and resentment engendered by losses of both property and status in the wake of a divorce settlement. Article continues after advertisement. I suspect that something else is afoot. Couldn't it be that the personality and social factors that contributed to the failure of the marriage also contribute to excess suicide risk afterwards? Couldn't the risk factors for divorce in men be related to the risk factors for suicide in divorced men? Female dissatisfaction with the marriage is a stable predictor of eventual divorce. Perhaps we should consider marital behaviors that might lead to such dissatisfaction. Suppose that a certain married man spends more than he makes, runs up marital debts, makes poor financial decisions, drinks too much, eats too much, shoots his mouth off at people who could make him pay for it, and makes sexual advances towards women not his wife.